Very, very timely. We're exactly holding in chapter 41 of Tanya is such a powerful tool, how we can help every single Jew in the entire world. We can do something to really help Klal Yisrael, Jewish people, every single Jew all over the world. We are in chapter 41. We have not learned for a while because we had the beautiful, beautiful holiday of Sukkot that so much helped us in the interim. So we are on page 114, 5 lines from the top. What we were discussing a while ago is that we want to serve God as his child. Every single Jew is God's only child, and as his servant, as his slave. We want to be nullified to God and fear God, and we want to absolutely love God. And those are the duality of our relationship with God. So we're right in the middle of that concept. 5 lines from the top of 114. So besides how we serve God as his servant, nullifying ourselves, we also have to serve God as his child. So how do you serve as a child? To arouse our natural love. That every one of us, embedded in our soul, loves God. At least we want to elicit the natural love that we feel without even having to create it. Love that's embedded and hidden in our heart that we might not even know we have, but we do. You're a Jew, you believe in God. You're a Jew, you love. So so we're saying there's a job to do, and the job to do is to be God's child. And you're like, well, that doesn't sound like a job. That sounds more like a description. We're saying, no, there is a job, and the job is to feel your love for God, because that's the relationship of a child, is feeling love for their parent. So how do I feel a love for God? So there are many ways, and Tanya always is sharing with us other ways and other ways and other ways of feeling a love for God. But the Rebbe says, I'm going easy on you guys. Every single one of you by nature loves God. It's embedded in your soul. At least be aware of that feeling in your soul. If you can't feel it in your heart, at least, so to speak, feel it. Be conscious of it in your mind. The deep love that's embedded in our psyche, the deep love we all have for God. At least get it to the level of being aware of it in your mind. Liskor, to remember, his love for the absolute oneness of God, b'machshavto, in his will, machshavto, in his thought, uvertsono, and in his will, l'davka bo yispara, to cling to God. And this should be his intention. When he's right now studying Torah or doing a commandment, to cling to God. Why to cling? Because I love God. And if you love someone, you want to be with them. So if I love God, I want to be one with him. How can I, finite creation, be one with the infinity of God? In the roads he gave to us, the roads of Torah, the roads of the commandments. So as I'm learning the Torah, as I'm doing the commandment, I'm focused, God, I want you. I want to be one with you. And I hope that's what's happening now through this act. And I want to cling to you on every level. On the level of my godly soul, well, obviously. On the level of my animal soul. On the level of my garment soul. Every level of my being, I want to be one with God. And that is me as God's child. So we have a lot in this chapter about being God's servant, nullification, awe, fear. And we're balancing it and saying, and we also want to remember and feel, at least feel in our mind, if we can't feel it in our heart, this tremendous love. But the Rebbe says that's not enough. It's not enough that you personally are having this wonderful relationship with God. We have to be, for the Jewish people, I thought it was actually very interesting. This is what we're going to be studying tonight, when obviously now we all feel so much how we are part of the Jewish people and how what we're doing is for the Jewish people. So this is exactly the point that the Rebbe is now going to elaborate on. But our sages say, we can never leave our position as being one of the community. Meaning, until now we were saying, and this is generally our perspective in Tanya, how we have to develop ourselves spiritually. We have to develop our fear and nullification to God. We have to develop our consciousness of our love for God. But the Rebbe says it's not enough if you do all that, even though that's amazing. It's not enough because you're part of a community. Who's your community? Your community is the Jewish people. You are part of the community of the Jewish people. How big is my community? About 15 million. The community of the Jewish people is what each one of us is an integral member of. So I'm doing all this spiritual work. I'm becoming God's servant. I'm accessing myself as God's son. And it's beautiful. It's amazing. It's great. But you're part of a community. So what should you do for the community? And again, I thought it was very powerful that that is what we're going to be discussing tonight. And therefore, not only should you focus on your own relationship with God, but you should intend to fuse and to cling to God, the source of his godly soul, which is embedded in the source of all the souls of all the Jewish people, which is this level of the breath of God, Hanikra b'shem Shechina, which is called Shechina. Is it called Shechina? Shochenes umislabeshes shel kol almin. Because Shechina is from the root word shochen, to dwell, a decent, an indwelling. So this dimension of God dwells, is engarbed in all of the world. There's this varying levels of Shechina as per the level of godly reality that is being focused on. And on each level, what's the function of Shechina? To give them life, and to give them existence. And this is what's giving you the power to have this power of speech. That you're speaking these words of Torah. Or this power of godly action. To do this commandment. And this fusion, this unity, this oneness, is through drawing down the infinity of God below, through this involvement in Torah, the commandment, which he's engarbed in them. I know I'm reading a lot, but I want to get to this point and then I'll explain it. So a person should have an intention, a thought that through the act I'm doing, through the commandment I'm doing, through the Torah study I'm doing, what do I want to happen? To draw down the light of God, al mekor nafsho, on the source of his soul, which is the nafsho is called Yisrael, the source of all the souls of all the Jews. To fuse them with God, as explained later. This idea of unification, and it's explained there. The Rebbe is saying something so powerful and so relevant to our current horrific crisis situation. When we normally, so I'm going to explain now this point, and I know I read a lot, it might not have been so clear, but I just wanted to get through it to explain the point. The Rebbe is saying that all of us, all of the Jewish people, have this point of oneness, total oneness, which is on the level of the source of our souls. Because on the level of the source of our souls, we all are one. Envision as if it's one soul that has fragmented into 15 million bodies. So I have a piece in my body and you have a piece in your body. And the pieces seem very separate from each other, very discrete elements, because this is in my body, with my journey, with my travails, with my challenges, with my growth, with my trajectory of life, and your piece is in yours. But the Rebbe said, we can access that point where we're still one. Because if we go higher than our working reality, we think, not my soul and my body, but the source of my soul, which is called Shechina, that's the repository of all souls. That Shechina is the source of all souls. What we're basically saying here is, to put this in sort of like simple terms, try to explain this a little. Normally, if I do a commandment, the commandment benefits me. Now, obviously the commandment benefits God. Obviously the commandment transforms the world. Obviously the commandment helps bring redemption, Mashiach. But It's my commandment. I did the commandment. And therefore, there's a tremendous godly energy that's coming to me. There's the God coming down, and there's me going up. Me. God coming down to me, and me, my soul, and my body, and that part of my soul, and part of my body, and part of my animal energy that was engaged in the commandment going up to God. So every commandment has global impact. But every commandment is also very personalized, very personally beneficial to the person who did the commandment. You could always choose to gift someone with your commandment, to do someone and say to God, it's not for me, it's for so-and-so. Whatever are the benefits of this commandment, I want it to go to so-and-so. And you're always able to do that because we all are connected on a certain level. But here, the Rebbe is saying something deeper than that. The Rebbe is saying, it's not about you. It's not about that one person in your heart right now that you're thinking about. You want this commandment or this Torah study to be for the Jewish people. How do you achieve that? What you basically do, the Rebbe is saying, is detach yourself from it. God, it's not mine. I'm viewing this commandment as the Jewish people's, because I'm going past me and the limitation of this piece of a soul in me. And I'm going to the source of my soul, to Shekhinah, to energy in the world of Atzilus. And on that level of Shekhinah, every single soul is there. So instead of my soul receiving the benefits of this commandment as the commandment benefits the soul, I want the commandment's energy to go to Shekhinah, to the repository of all souls, the source of all souls, and there benefit the source of all souls. And from benefiting the source of all soul, it will trickle down to impact every single Jew. Every single Jew in the world. Because this commandment now is not about me. This commandment became the property, became the spiritual strength for every single Jewish person. Wow. What a message to hear tonight. So how do we do it? The Rebbe says you do it by thinking about it. You do it by focusing, by intending, and by consciously saying that this commandment is for the source of all souls. This commandment's benefit should be for all the Jewish people. So in a sense, of course, it's almost like a gift of self-sacrifice, because you're giving up the personal benefit that you receive, obviously, every time you do something for God. But you've made this so big because now every single Jew in the whole world, though they'll never know it was you to give you credit, but every single Jew in the whole world can benefit from your commandment. You could do this with any commandment that you choose. Anytime you do a commandment, anytime you're studying Torah, anytime you're doing anything for God, you could intend that this commandment, this specific one, is for the Jewish people, and the energy, instead of going to me, should go to the source of all the souls of the Jewish people. Sarah?
I needed to unmute. I'm just wondering, in the morning, we say Hareini, we say, I'm having a senior moment. Yeah, right. So is there a connection with this and with that?
Well, the connection would be, it's not doing the same thing, but that Hareini is the motivation of this. Because what the person is doing here, what the Rebbe is saying is, he's doing self-sacrifice. We need our virtues. We need our blessings. We need our merit. And I'm just saying, it's not mine anymore. So because, as we're saying every morning, I have limitless love for the Jewish people, therefore, a person will be motivated to say, and again, you don't have to get scared. It's not like forever this commandment, or you could do it literally this time, this act. I'm intending it should go to the Jewish people. It's not mine. It's not for my personal benefit. It's for the Jewish people. And then literally the Rebbe is saying the energy of that commandment, instead of going to you, it's not going to go to you. You'll receive it as much as any other Jew in the world will. You will benefit from it as much as any other Jew in the world is benefiting from it. Not anymore, because you gave it up. You sacrificed it for the Jewish people. And then the energy of God that commandment draws down, that should normally go to your soul, is going to the source of souls of all the Jewish people. And from there, it will flow into every single person.
So when we give tzedakah, Bracha suggested a long time ago to put money in the pushka every day for every Yid in Klal Yisrael. So I put money a few times, and sometimes like 336s at a time or whatever it is. So one goes for all the Yidden, in the whole world, just to give tzedakah in merit for that. I mean, I couldn't afford to give up even a penny for every Yid, but every day. But I'm just saying. So that covers this kind of also.
It's a different thing. There's
All the different things. I'd like
exactly. We
everything
got
to
a
be
lot of different
related.
tools in our arsenal. Like think of your
Okay.
kitchen, all the drawers, all the different kitchen tools you have. If someone has a toolbox, all the different tools, they're all valuable. They're all doing different things. If they're doing exactly the same thing, why do you need two of them? Of course, some of us have 5 of the same thing. And that's true too. But assuming that wasn't what your drawers look like. So yes, there's a tremendous benefit. And I'm sure everyone now, if you're not, definitely should give charity every day for all Jewish people, for all the Jews in Israel, for the Catholics, for obviously. And it says charity saves from death, charity is a protection. What the Rebbe here is saying is, of course, coming, you could say in a sense, with the same concern and love for every Jew, but it's talking about something different. What it's saying is the spiritual benefits that you receive from the commandment or from the Torah study, instead of personally receiving them, you're giving them as a gift that the Jewish people should receive them. So you're giving up something of yours. You're not going to receive that personal benefit, but instead you have this enormous gain, this enormous power that you know that every Jew in the world is right now getting a certain spiritual strength from what you just did. So Fruma wrote and chatted, and I couldn't read it all. It's considered a spiritual self-sacrifice, not a spiritual. So from the saying, well, look at the reward you have. I guess the reward meaning the reward that your action is helping so many Jews. And of course, that's amazing. The sacrifice element is that you are giving up the benefit you would have from this action. So if you're wealthy and you do many things for God all day long, you can afford to give up some of it. But it is giving up. It is a reality that you're giving up something, because every commandment draws down to you a spiritual benefit that you're sacrificing. But of course, you would say, would I not want to sacrifice and do something that I know every single Jew is going to benefit from this mitzvah, from this act? So the reward isn't like I'm getting a reward in the sense that we think of getting something spiritual or physical. The reward is that I can do this and help the Jewish people. So we can literally do this anytime you want, any act you do, any moment of day or night, any commandment, any Torah study. You think, God, this is not for me. This is for Klal Yisrael. This is for the Jewish people. And then literally, the Rebbe is saying, there's going to be a shift. And instead of the spiritual energy coming to you, the spiritual energy will go to the source, the repository of the source of all the souls of the Jewish people. And from there, there'll be fusions and energies will flow down to every single Jew. So it's just unbelievable. Who could imagine that? I could do something and 15 million Jews are going to have a benefit. And I could do this whenever I want. It don't have to be with other people. Whenever I want. Whenever I want, I could take a godly act and benefit 15 million of my family, of my brothers, anytime, with any action, with any commandment, with any Torah study. So it's a tremendous power. And I thought it was very, very relevant that we're learning this tonight, because who doesn't want to do something to help every single Jew now? And you can. Now, again, if you didn't have this in mind, and you study Torah, and you said Psalms, and you prayed, and you give charity, and you're doing it thinking this is to help the Jewish people, of course it's helping the Jewish people. Like Sarah was saying, she's giving charity to help the Jewish people. Of course it's helping the Jewish people. So this is a different nuance to that thought, where it's not like you're doing the commandment as something extra to protect and help the Jewish people. It's like your commandment is for the Jewish people, not for you. It's for the Jewish people. And the energy of that commandment is going to the Jewish people. That's a tremendous, tremendous gift that we have, a tremendous power we have. And a person could think, especially in these times, wow, do I have something that I can give up personally benefiting from, and make this instead a benefit for the Jewish people? Or if you're like, I don't know if I can give up something, but can I add something? And that thing which I'm adding, so I didn't have it before in my daily arsenal for me and my needs, this could be something I could do every day to every day give every single Jew the benefit of having, on a certain level, done a commandment. Because through me, every single Jew is doing this commandment. And that's our power. Our power is the commandments. Our power is Torah. Power is all these protections. This is our power. And it's an accessible power. Sometimes feel overwhelmingly powerless. And it's good to know we're very, very, very powerful. We're hugely powerful. And we're turning to our power. And we're using our power. And that's what's creating reality. A Jewish person using Jewish power.